Hi guys, so we'll be solving an O-level past paper question from the year 2014. This session is May-June. This is question number 7. We'll use a pie chart to find different values, draw a histogram, also estimate the mean. So let's start. The question says the pie chart summarizes the results of a local election. Candidate A, B, C, and D have been given to us in this pie chart with different types of angles. Part 1 says candidate B received 1600 votes. Work out the total number of people who voted in the election. So if candidate B received 1600 votes, that means 60 degrees equals 1600 votes, and 360, which is the total angle of this pie chart, would be equal to how much? So let's solve for x. We multiply 360 with 1600 and divide that by 60. When we plug this into the calculator, we get 9600. So there are a total of 9600 people who voted in this election. The next part says what fraction of the vote did candidate D receive? Give your answer in its lowest terms. So first of all, candidate D received this angle over here. We don't need to find the total number of votes. If we find the angle for candidate D, that would suffice. So let's find the angle for candidate D. First of all, let's add up all the other angles. Candidate A had 90 degrees, candidate B had 60 degrees, candidate C had 144 degrees. If you add them up and subtract them from 360, that would give you the angle for candidate D. So let's add them up first. When you add them up, 90 plus 60 plus 144, this gives us 294. If you subtract this from 360, let's see what we get. Subtract this from 360, we get 66 degrees. If you need to find the fraction of the total people, fraction of D against the total number of people, you do 66 over 360. Let's plug this into our calculator to make things easier. The angle or the fraction becomes 11 over 60. That's our answer to part 2, 11 over 60. The next part says how many more votes than candidate A did candidate C receive? Now, first of all, in order to find how many more votes, we need to find how many candidates were there for how many total votes did candidate A receive. So candidate A has a total angle of 90 degrees. What we can do to make things simpler is you do 90 over 360 multiplied by the total number of voters. When you do 90 divided by 360 and multiply this by 9600, you get 2400 voters. Then you need to do the same for candidate C. Candidate C had an angle of 144 degrees. So you do 144 divided by 360 times the total number of voters again. So you do 144 divided by 360 and you multiply this by 9600, you get 3840. These are the number of voters for candidate C. In order to find how many more votes, you need to subtract 3840 and 2400. When you subtract these two, you get 1440. So 1440, there were 1440 more voters for candidate C. So you write your answer over here. Okay, the next part says the table summarizes the age of the members of a film club. The age is given in intervals and here is the frequency given to us. The first part says calculate an estimate of the mean age of the members. In order to find the mean age of the members, first of all, what you need to do is let's draw two rows over here, one above it and one below it. Give me 1 second, let me draw these two rows first. Okay, 1 second. These rows would help us find the mean. So let's draw intervals as well over here to make things easy for us. Okay, the row above the age row over here actually is for the middle value of all these intervals, because when you need to find the mean, you will need to find the middle value of all these class intervals. And the row below frequency is when you multiply frequency by the middle values. Okay, so when you find the middle value of the first class interval, 15 plus 20 divided by 2, that gives us 17.5. That's the middle value of this class interval. The second middle value of the second class interval is 25. The third one would be 35. The fourth one would be 50. These are easy ones. That's why I'm just not using a calculator. And the last one would be 70. Okay, in order to find the frequency multiplied by x, you multiply these two values. You multiply 17.5 and 12. When you multiply these two, you get 210. When you multiply 25 and 36, you get 900. Then you multiply 35 and 45. When you multiply these two, you get 1575. you multiply 50 and 33. When you multiply these two values, you get 1650. And then lastly, you multiply 70 by 24. When you multiply these two, you get 1680. Okay. Now, in order to find the mean, the formula that you use is the sum of all the frequencies multiplied with x's divided by the total frequency. The total frequency can be found by adding all these values. When you add all of these values, you get 150. That's the total frequency. And the total f of x, the sum of fx, can be found by adding all these values that we have over here. So let's add them. 210 plus 900 plus 1575 plus 1650 plus 1680. This gives us 6015. So you write 6015 over here, and when you divide these two values, you get 40.1. This is the mean of the mean age of the members. So you write your answer over here, 40.1, and you scored 3 marks. Okay. Now for the next part, the question says, on the grid below, draw a histogram to represent this data. One thing that you need to note over here is all these class intervals that are given to us, these are not equally divided. For example, 15 to 20 has a difference of 5, 20 to 30 has a difference of 10, 30 to 40 has a difference of 10, then 40 to 60 has a difference of 20. So in order to do that, what you need to do is first, before drawing the histogram, you would need to draw one more column for the frequency density. So this frequency density will help us draw the histogram. 1 second. Frequency density. I'll tell you how we find this out as well. So first of all, frequency density is calculated. I'll give you a small example over here. Frequency density is calculated when you divide frequency by the class width. So if you look at the first column, frequency is 12 and the class width is 5. You do 12 divided by 5 and you get 2.4. That's the first frequency density. You apply the same on the second one as well. The frequency is 36 and the class interval or the width is 10. You divide 36 by 10, you get 3.6. Then you do the same for the third one. You have frequency of 45 and the class interval of 10. So your frequency density becomes 4.5. Then for the second last one, you divide 33 by 20. When you divide 33 by 20, you get 1.65. And for the last column, you divide 24 by 20 again. When you do that, you get 1.2. Okay, now let's look at the grid. On the grid, they have already given us all these values for the class intervals or the values of x. But what we need to draw first over here or complete the histogram is by putting in the y values. When you plug in the y values, I mean by that is you put in the frequency density intervals. Okay, when we do this, we look at the highest frequency density, that is 4.5, and choose a number at least half above it so that it's an integer value. So you start from 1 and you plug in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 over here, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. This way you'll be able to draw a frequency density histogram. So you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the first class interval starts from 15 and goes all the way up till 20. So let's do it in another color. Let's do it in blue. That is going to be easier for us. So this goes all the way up till, okay, the first interval is 15 to 20 and the frequency density is 2.4. So let's zoom in a bit. Okay, we start from 15 and we go all the way up till 2.4 like this. Okay, this is our first, the first part of the histogram. Then I will shade it in the end so that we all can see it. The next one is 20 to 30 and the frequency density is 3.6. 20 to 30 and then goes all the way up till 3.6. 3.6 is going to be somewhere over here, so I extend this all the way up till here and then from here all the way up till over here and then draw a line like this connecting these two. Okay, the next one is between 30 to 40 and the frequency density is 4.5. So 30 to 40 and 4.5. 4.5 is somewhere in the middle of this over here. Okay, and I extend this all the way up till over here and then I connect this. This is the third bar for the histogram. The next one is 33 and between 40 and 60, but the frequency density is 1.65, so 40 and 60 and 1.65. 1.65 is a tricky one, but we'll still get through it. So 1.6 is supposed to be over here, so I extend a line like this over here. I hope this is visible. Okay, perfect. 1 second. Okay, excellent. and the last one is from 60 to 80, and the frequency density is 1.2. So from 60 to 80, it is supposed to be 1.2. 1.2 is going to be over here. I hope all these lines are visible. I'll still shade them so that it's easier for us. This one, then this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then lastly this one. So our histogram is complete. This is a frequency density histogram. This is only drawn when you have different class widths. Okay, the last part of the question says, find an estimate for the number of members of the film club who are over 50. Now, if you notice in our table, there is no 50 given to us. In the age, they have not given us any 50, but they have given us an interval from 40 to 60. So first of all the way from 50 to 80, if we do have a class interval between 60 and 80, that gives us 24 people, right? So we put 24 on the side and we add it to whatever we get between 50 and 60. So for 50 and 60, in order to find the value between 50 and 60, all you have to do is, first of all, the frequency density is equal to frequency divided by the class width. Okay, the class width in this case is going to be 10 because it's from 50 to 60 and not from 40 to 60. We need to find the frequency, and the frequency density given to us for this particular column is 1.65. So what you do is you multiply 1.65, that is the frequency density, with the class width, and you will get the frequency, which is 10 times 1.65. This gives us 16.5. Okay, now 16.5 people on average are between 50 and 60. Okay, so you add this 16.5 plus 20, sorry, not 20, 24 for the last interval, and what you get is, one second, you get 40.5. Now, of course, you cannot use 40.5 because you can't have half a member. So you use the maximum possible value below 40.5, that is 40. So your last answer over here for this one is going to be 40. And we are done with the question. I hope this question made sense. The complete working of the entire question is present in the description below for you to download. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, and thank you so much for watching.